All right, so today we're really going deep, like really deep into something pretty fascinating.
Deeper than usual.
Yeah, deeper than usual. We've got a firsthand account from an astronaut.
From space, right?
Yeah, an astronaut aboard the ISS.
The International Space Station, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and what really got us, I think, in this material were the experiences.
The human experience.
The human experiences, yeah, and the insights that you get from that extraordinary vantage point.
Really unique perspective, right?
Totally. Yeah. So our kind of mission here is to unpack some of the key themes that we found, and we kind of organize them around individuality, teamwork.
The power of perspective.
The power of perspective, yeah. And all of it is grounded in the astronauts, own stories and observations from space.
Yeah. So this isn't like a dry technical manual or anything like that.
No.
This is really a personal story about living and working in space.
Yeah, and it's a long duration mission too, right?
Right. Yeah. This isn't just a quick trip up and back. It's months on the space station.
Yeah, so there are a lot of stories to tell, and the source material is just rich with these little anecdotes, these moments of reflection.
Yeah, and for our listeners who really value getting to the core.
The nuggets.
The nuggets,
Right.
right? The core of knowledge, quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
We went through, and we're going to share those with you today.
We did the work for you.
We did the work for you.
So one of the first things that struck me was this description of nighttime in the cupola.
Ah, yes, the cupola.
It sounds like, it's more than just a window. It's like,
It is a window.
okay, well, more than just a window.
Again, it's like a sanctuary almost.
It's a sanctuary.
Yeah, with all these windows looking out over the earth.
Right, and the spacecraft operations and just like the cosmos. I mean,
It's designed for observation.
it's designed for observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the astronaut, would kind of retreat there at night and just kind of like be alone and reflect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's something, we can all relate to, that need for a little solitude.
Especially in a confined environment like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're living and working with the same small group of people
Runs.
for months on end.
You need a break.
You need a break. You need a little space.
Yeah, and that was the cupola.
That was the cupola.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about being alone, though, right? It was also a place to connect with people back home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like calling home
Calling home.
while looking at the same moon.
Oh, that's such a powerful image.
It is, and it really highlights that our need for connection, it doesn't go away.
It's human.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamental, yeah.
Yeah, no matter how far away you are.
And then there's the music.
Ah, yes, the music.
This astronaut plays the flute in the cupola.
The flute.
Who would have thought?
I mean, it's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think about space travel.
I know. And they've been playing since childhood, like since 6th grade.
And they made the decision to bring it to the ISS.
With that limited baggage allowance.
I know. Can you imagine?
And what would you bring?
Right.
If you could only bring a tiny little bag?
Yeah, and but it really speaks to that need to hold on to your identity.
Beyond just being an astronaut.
Beyond the mission, yeah.
Right. You're not just a job, you're a person.
Exactly. And I love that they talk about the acoustics of the cupola.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was sufficiently isolated from the sleeping quarters.
So you could play without waking anyone up.
Yeah. And can you imagine if they had chosen a different instrument?
Like a trombone.
Trombone or trout?
Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine?
The other astronauts would not have been happy.
No.
But it's funny because other astronauts have brought instruments up too.
I know. I love that.
There have been trumpets, saxophones,
Keyboards,
guitars,
bagpipes even.
it's a bagpipe.
And there's a didgeridoo made from ISS trash.
Now that's resourceful.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Talk about making do with what you've got.
Right. And the way they describe playing the flute in zero gravity, it's pretty involved.
Oh, yeah. It's not as simple as just picking it up and playing.
No. You got to like float through the lab, carefully assemble the flute.
You don't want to lose any parts.
No, not in zero gravity.
They'd be gone forever.
Yeah. And then they have to use a foot restraint to stay in place.
To keep from drifting away.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And their crewmate, Scott, he gave them this look like, you should be in bed.
Oh, I love that.
It's just so relatable.
It is. Even in space,
You still have those moments.
you still get those looks.
Yeah, exactly.
But the flute playing, it wasn't just for personal enjoyment, right?
No,
Like,
it
yeah.
became this way to connect with their band back on Earth.
Bandela.
Mandela, yeah.
It's like a jam session across space.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And so they're playing along with recordings of the band and feeling that connection.
Thousands of miles away.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then they talk about this dual connection.
The connection to the self and to Earth.
Yeah, like remembering who you are outside of the mission and also feeling like they were playing for the countries passing below.
It's like giving a concert to the whole world.
Wow, yeah.
And then they found out they had an audience at Mission Control. They didn't even know.
They were listening in.
Can you imagine?
So those private moments became these unintentional public performances.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And now let's talk about the personal objects they brought to space.
Oh, yes, because, with such limited space, every item has to be carefully chosen.
Yeah, the baggage allowance is minuscule.
Minuscule.
What would you bring?
I don't even know. I'd have to think long and hard about it.
Yeah, and they talk about these flown objects.
Right. These are items that have been to space and back.
And they become these, like, instruments of outreach.
You can share your experience with people.
Yeah, you bring back a piece of space, and the astronaut brought all sorts of things.
Like Jamie's stuffed tiger hawks.
Yeah.
And Josh's glass planets.
Yeah, and some of them were lost.
Lost in space.
But then they found one.
With duct tape holding it together.
It became a permanent resident of the ISS.
I love that story.
It's great, right? And then there were earrings and necklaces from artist friends.
Beautiful and meaningful.
Yeah, and T-shirts from people back home.
Showing their support.
And it's special books.
Connecting to literature and stories.
Yeah. So each item tells a story.
And it shows what's truly important to them.
And then there's this amazing story about collaborating with Ian Anderson.
From Jethro Tull.
Yeah, the flute player.
The legend.
And they wanted to do a duet from space.
A Space Earth duet.
How cool is that?
That's incredible.
And they reached out to him and, asked to bring his flute to space.
And Ian Anderson was all for it.
Yeah, he thought it was a great idea.
I love his response. It was very him.
Yeah, it was very Ian Anderson.
Humorous and supportive.
Yeah, and they ended up bringing other flutes, too.
For Patty Maloney and Matt Malloy from the Chieftains.
Yeah, another great band.
So the astronaut was surrounded by flutes up there.
Yeah, and they practiced the duet Bourrée by Bach in the cupola.
Imagine practicing a duet with someone thousands of miles away.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and they had these late-night practice sessions.
And they had trouble interpreting the instructions sometimes.
They even sent an email titled Lost in Space.
That's great.
Because sometimes it felt like they were speaking different languages.
But they figured it out.
And they performed the duet.
It was a huge success.
Bridging Earth and space through music.
Yeah, and it shows that even in these incredibly technical fields,
human connection is still so important.
Yeah, and it brings us to this theme of individuality within teamwork.
Right, because often you hear that saying, there's no I in team.
Right. But the astronaut argues that the best teams are made up of distinct individuals.
Who bring their own unique skills and perspectives.
Yeah, and it's about recognizing and valuing those individual contributions.
Exactly. It's not about suppressing individuality.
It's about embracing it.
Yeah, and they talk about their dynamic with Paolo, another astronaut.
Yeah, Paolo was more action-oriented.
And the astronaut was more cautious.
Yeah, always thinking about the consequences.
And they tell this great story about putting together a table
in space.
It's a perfect example of how their different approaches
really worked well together.
Yeah, because they balanced each other out.
And this understanding of teamwork came from their experiences outside of space, too.
Like rowing.
Yeah, they rowed at MIT.
And learned how a diverse group of individuals could work together to win.
And the astronaut wasn't the strongest rower.
But they played a vital role in balancing the boat.
And keeping the team cohesive.
And they learned from music, too.
Yeah, improvisational music.
At a language camp in Norway.
Of all places.
They learned this wordless conversation.
Through music.
Yeah, it was all about listening.
Taking risks.
And trusting each other.
And they were hesitant at first.
But they learned to weave their individual melodies together.
And that's so much like teamwork.
It is, yeah. You have to listen to your teammates.
You have to be willing to try new things.
And you have to trust each other.
And the astronaut was really good at seeing the big picture.
And connecting the dots.
Yeah, they were the glue that held the team together.
And those skills are so important, but often overlooked.
Yeah, they're soft skills.
Especially in technical fields.
And they have this great story about their rowing coach.
Who called them the most important person in the boat.
Not because of their physical strength.
But because of their ability to create a positive and supportive team environment.
That's awesome.
It shows that those intangible qualities are so valuable.
And finally, let's talk about perspective.
The power of perspective.
Seeing Earth from space.
It changes you.
It does, yeah. And the astronaut talks about how each crew member had their own unique perspective.
Based on their own experiences.
Yeah, they would point out landmarks they recognized.
Like highways.
And reservoirs.
And their home countries.
And Scott was really into photography.
He loved capturing the details of Earth.
And Paolo loved seeing Italy from above.
It was a very emotional experience for him.
And then Ron told this amazing story about Mana Energy.
This organization that's providing clean water in Kenya.
Yeah, and it shows how seeing Earth from space can broaden your perspective.
And make you realize the impact that individuals can have.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
It is.
So to wrap up,
We've learned so much today.
We have.
About the importance of personal passions.
Like music.
And the power of individuality within a team.
And the transformative nature of seeing our planet from a new perspective.
It's been a great deep dive.
It has. And for our listeners out there, I want you to think about what unique instrument you bring to your own crew.
What are your strengths?
What are your passions?
What makes you you?
Yeah, and how can you use those things to make a positive impact?
It's a great question to ask yourself.
It is. Thanks for joining us.